Welcome to the Deep Dive, everybody. So today we're going to be traveling 20 years into the future to the world of AI in 2041.
Buckle up.
Yeah, and we've got an awesome source to guide us.
We do.
AI 2041, 10 Visions for Our Future. And what's so cool about this book is that it's not just, predicting the future.
Right.
It's a blend of predictions and short stories, almost like, Black Mirror, but optimistic.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not just robots and spaceships. This book gets into how AI could reshape your everyday life,
Yeah.
work, relationships, even your sense of happiness. We're talking about a future where algorithms might know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah, it gets pretty deep. It's not just like on the surface.
Right.
So to kick things off, let's dive into the first story, The Golden Elephant. It's set in Mumbai, and it introduces us to this family that's using an AI-powered insurance program.
Yeah, this isn't your typical insurance, though. This program, it's called Ganesh Insurance, and it's trying to optimize its users' lives. They've got apps that encourage healthy habits, and, it's almost like having a virtual coach that's pushing you towards a better lifestyle.
Yeah, it's not just about calculating risk anymore. It's like almost getting into life coaching.
Right, and this is where it gets interesting, right? Because you know how you get those eerily accurate recommendations on Amazon?
Oh, yeah.
That's deep learning, right? It's
Yeah.
figuring out what you like, even if you don't realize it yourself.
Yeah.
So now imagine that power applied to your health, your finances, your entire life. And the story asks this question, at what point does optimization become control?
Right.
Does AI empower us, or does it actually limit our choices?
Yeah, that's kind of unsettling, imagine being nudged towards certain decisions, even if the AI thinks it's for your own good. Does it take away your freedom to choose your own path?
Right.
How much of that is okay? Where's the line?
That's exactly the question that the story is grappling with. It forces us to think about the potential consequences of AI's kind of single-mindedness, even when its intentions are good.
Right. Yeah, it's like the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but in this case, the road is paved with algorithms.
Yes, exactly. And this brings us to a really crucial point, I think. And that's understanding how deep learning works, because it's key to navigating its influence. So imagine a system that's inspired by the human brain, It's got layers upon layers of artificial neurons that are learning from this massive amount of data. It's constantly adapting and evolving based on the information it's fed.
So it's not just following pre-programmed rules.
Right.
This AI is actually learning and changing as it goes.
Exactly.
Kind of like how we humans do, but without, I guess, the human element of intuition.
Yeah, you got it. And this type of learning is already shaping your world, whether you realize it or not, Think about Amazon recommendations or how Facebook curates your newsfeed. These are all examples of deep learning in action, and they're aiming to keep you engaged, keep you spending, and, they're potentially influencing your choices in all sorts of subtle ways.
So it's okay, if it's already happening in these areas, what other aspects of our lives could be shaped by deep learning in the future? And is that something we should be concerned about?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's something to really think about because the more we rely on these systems, the more important it becomes to understand how they work and what their limitations might be.
Right, right. Okay, so speaking of AI making decisions, let's dive into the job savior. This story takes us to a future where AI and automation have just caused this widespread job displacement, leaving, millions unemployed.
And this isn't just some futuristic fantasy,
Yeah.
The seeds of this disruption are being sown right now. The book highlights examples like loan underwriting and construction where AI's ability to analyze data and recognize patterns just makes it incredibly efficient. Oftentimes it outperforms humans in specific tasks.
So it's not just robots taking over manual labor anymore.
Yep.
This AI is taking on white-collar jobs too.
Absolutely. And that raises some uncomfortable questions, right? If AI can do certain jobs better and faster than humans, what happens to those who are displaced? How do we adapt to a world where our skills may become, obsolete?
So the story explores a couple of potential solutions. One of them is this concept of universal basic income, or UBI. And that's where everyone receives a basic income regardless of their employment status. But it's a really complex issue. It's got a lot of pros and cons.
It does. Imagine a world where work is optional and your basic needs are met.
Yeah.
Sounds idyllic, right? But how would it impact our motivation, our creativity, our sense of purpose? Would it lead to a society of leisure or apathy?
Yeah, I can see both sides of it,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Like, on the one hand, it could be a safety net for those who are struggling to keep up with technological advancements,
Mm-hmm.
but then it could also create a sense of dependency and potentially discourage people from, like, pursuing their passions or contributing to society in meaningful ways.
Exactly. It's not a simple yes or no answer.
Right.
And it's a debate that's already happening in the real world
Yeah.
as automation continues to disrupt industries.
Yeah, it makes you think, you know? Like, this story really makes you think about the potential, societal implications of AI and, like, how can we prepare for a future where work might look, like, drastically different from what we know today?
Yeah, it's not about fearing job loss. It's about understanding the forces at play
Right.
and recognizing the need for proactive solutions.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to another fascinating aspect of AI.
Yeah, let's do it.
Computer vision.
Mm-hmm.
Twin Sparrows explores its impact on, like, child development, introducing us to virtual companions or VPALs.
Ooh, VPAL. So imagine an AI that can see, with greater detail and understanding than any human. That's
Yeah.
the power of computer vision, right? And it's being used to create these virtual companions that can interact with children. They can analyze their behavior, even suggest interventions to address potential issues like social isolation.
So it's almost like having a personalized AI tutor and friend all rolled into one.
Exactly.
It could be revolutionary for education and child development, especially for children who might not have access to traditional learning environments.
Absolutely. But, the story also kind of touches on a darker side of computer vision, deepfakes.
Ooh.
Think about the videos and images you see online. How can you tell what's real anymore?
That's true.
And what does this mean for making decisions, forming opinions, even trusting your own eyes?
That's scary. That is a scary thought. In a world where seeing is no longer believing, how do we even navigate a landscape that's saturated with manipulated media?
Yeah, that's the challenge we face, right?
Yeah.
Deepfakes are becoming increasingly sophisticated, making them harder to detect. It's like this arms race between the creators and the detectors.
Oh, wow.
You know?
This technology has the potential to, like, erode trust in media, evidence, even personal relationships. It's like a whole new level of disinformation warfare.
It is, and the implications are so far-reaching. And it just underscores this need for critical thinking skills, media literacy, in a world where what you see might not be what you get.
Yeah, we need to be more vigilant than ever, I think, about questioning the information we encounter online and developing strategies to discern truth from fiction.
Absolutely. It's a skill that will become increasingly crucial, in the age of AI-generated content.
It's great. This whole deep dive is making me realize, like, how many aspects of our lives could be impacted by AI in the coming years.
Yeah.
It's exciting and a little terrifying.
It is both, isn't it? But I think the key is to approach it with an open mind,
Yeah,
a willingness to adapt, because the future of AI is still being written,
that's true.
and we have this opportunity to shape it in a way that benefits humanity.
I like that.
Welcome back. So, it's fascinating how AI's potential impact goes beyond just our jobs and daily routines. It even extends to, our personal relationships and how we connect with others.
Yeah, and that's something the story of My Haunting Idol really gets into, right? It takes place in this world where entertainment's completely transformed by AI, almost blurring the lines between reality and fantasy.
Right, imagine a world where you could interact with your favorite, deceased celebrity
Wow.
through a virtual reality game, and that's the premise of this story. It blends cutting-edge technologies like mixed reality with some really deep human emotions, grief, obsession, even the desire for connection.
It sounds a little creepy, to be honest. Like,
Yep.
what are the ethical implications of recreating someone's likeness without their consent? And what happens when the lines between real and virtual relationships become, like, totally blurred?
Those are exactly the questions the story raises. It follows Aiko. She's a devoted fan who's trying to, unravel the mystery surrounding her idol's death. And she does this through this VR game that's powered by AI, where she interacts with a holographic recreation of her idol, Hiroshi X.
So she's basically having conversations with a digital ghost.
Right.
But what makes this AI so intriguing is that it doesn't just follow a script,
Right.
It learns and adapts to Aiko's interactions, creating this illusion of a genuine connection.
Yeah, it's like having conversation with someone who knows your every thought and feeling and can just tailor their responses to your kind of emotional state, right?
Yeah.
And that level of personalization is both fascinating and a little unsettling.
It makes me wonder about the long-term, I guess, psychological impact of these like
Yeah.
immersive technologies.
Right.
Are we risking escapism and isolation? Or could these virtual connections actually enhance our lives in meaningful ways?
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you have this potential for deeper connection and understanding, and then on the other, you have the risk of losing touch with reality and forming unhealthy attachments to these virtual entities.
It's like the whole debate about social media, but amplified to a whole new level. We're already seeing the effects of digital interactions on our like real world relationships. Imagine how much more complex it becomes when those digital interactions become increasingly realistic and personalized.
Absolutely. The story makes you think about the future of human connection in a world where technology can create such compelling illusions of companionship.
Yeah, oh, okay. Shifting gears a bit, the story The Holy Driver takes us to Sri Lanka, where self-driving vehicles, AVs, have taken over transportation.
Yeah.
But it's not like the utopian vision of a driverless paradise that we often hear about.
Yeah, it's not that simple, right?
Yeah.
This story digs into some of the unintended consequences of AVs, particularly their impact on the job market and social inequality. It's not just about the technology itself, it's about how it's implemented and who benefits from it.
Yeah. The protagonist, Shamal, is a driver who's been displaced by AVs, and he's forced to compete in this dangerous and exploitative gig economy just to survive. It really shines a light on the potential downsides of automation, especially if it's not handled responsibly.
And what's interesting here is that the story doesn't demonize AVs entirely. It acknowledges their potential benefits, but it also highlights the need for, careful consideration of their impact on society. It asks us to think about who's designing these systems, who's profiting from them, and who's bearing the burden of their consequences.
Yeah, it reminds us that like technological advancements don't always lead to progress for everyone.
Right.
There are winners and losers in any technological revolution, and it's important to consider the ethical implications.
Absolutely. And the story raises some important questions about the future of work in this age of automation. Like, how do we ensure that everyone benefits from these advancements? How do we create a society where work is both meaningful and accessible?
Yeah, it's a challenge we need to be thinking about now,
Yeah.
not just when it's too late.
Agreed. Now, to understand AVs better, we need to talk about the different levels of autonomy. It's not just a simple on-off switch. There are 5 levels, ranging from level 0, where the human driver is in complete control, to level 5, where the vehicle handles everything. No human intervention needed.
So these AVs in the Holy Driver, they seem to be operating at a pretty advanced level of autonomy, at least in certain situations.
Exactly. But, the story also kind of reveals the limitations of current AV technology,
Mhm.
particularly when faced with these unpredictable situations like natural disasters. And, this highlights the importance of continued research and development to improve the safety and reliability of these systems.
Yeah, it reminds us that even the most advanced technologies have their limits, and that human oversight is still really crucial.
Yeah.
We can't just blindly trust AI to solve all of our problems.
Precisely. It's about finding that right balance between human control and AI assistance, ensuring that these technologies serve us rather than the other way around.
Okay, let's step back from the individual stories for a moment and look at a concept that runs throughout the book. The 4 waves of AI applications.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book identifies these 4 distinct waves of AI adoption that are transforming, almost every industry. And it really helps us understand how AI is evolving and where it might be headed in the future.
So what are these waves? It sounds like a tsunami of technological change.
It kind of is, right? So the first wave is internet AI. So think about recommendation engines, personalized content feeds, and targeted advertising. This AI is all around us online, shaping our digital experiences.
It's the AI that knows what you want to buy before you even know it yourself.
Exactly. And then the second wave is business AI, where AI optimizes business processes, automating tasks like data entry and customer service, analyzing financial data, even predicting market trends.
So this is the AI that's streamlining industries,
Right.
making them more efficient, but also potentially displacing workers.
Right. Wave 3 is perception AI,
Right.
where AI systems, they see and they understand the world around them. This is where computer vision comes in, powering things like facial recognition, self-driving vehicles, medical diagnosis.
So it's the AI that's giving machines the ability to, like, perceive and interact with the physical world in ways we never thought possible.
And then finally, we have wave 4, autonomous AI. This is the wave of robots, drones, and autonomous vehicles that can just act independently in the real world. And this is the wave that's most likely to spark both excitement and apprehension
Mm.
because it raises these questions about the role of humans in a world where machines can act on their own.
It's a future that feels like both thrilling and a little daunting, you know? Like, what happens when machines become so intelligent and capable that they no longer need us?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And one that we need to be grappling with as we develop these technologies, you know?
Yeah.
It's not about fearing AI, but it's about understanding its potential and shaping its trajectory in a way that, benefits humanity.
Okay, let's return back to the stories.
Okay.
And we're going to dive into quantum genocide, which, it deals with some really heavy themes. The potential for AI to be used for destructive purposes, right?
Yeah.
It features this physicist, Marc Rousseau, who uses a quantum computer to launch attacks on global infrastructure.
Yeah, this story is a stark reminder that even the most advanced technologies can be used for good or evil. Rousseau, he's driven by this despair over humanity's impact on the environment. He believes the only way to save the planet is to force a reset, like a
Yeah.
drastic intervention to kind of curb our destructive tendencies.
It's a chilling reminder that the ethical considerations of AI go beyond preventing, like accidents or unintended consequences. We also have to guard against intentional misuse, especially as these technologies become, increasingly powerful.
Right, and this story brings quantum computing into the mix. It's still in its early stages, but it has the potential to be incredibly disruptive, both positively and negatively. Imagine a computer that can solve problems in seconds that would take classical computers millions of years.
That kind of power in the wrong hands could be devastating. It underscores the need for, international cooperation and ethical guidelines to ensure that these technologies are used responsibly.
Absolutely, this story is a wake-up call. It compels us to think critically about the potential consequences of unchecked technological advancement and to consider what safeguards we need to put in place.
Okay, let's shift to a story that tackles the challenge of, finding meaning and purpose in a world that's transformed by AI and automation. Dreaming of Plenitude takes us to future Australia, where technological advancements have created this, society of abundance. Work is optional. Everyone's basic needs are met.
Sounds like a utopia, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A world without scarcity, where everyone has access to what they need. But as the story unfolds, we see that even in a world of plenty,
Yeah.
there are still challenges and complexities to grapple with.
Yeah. The story centers on Joanna, an elderly woman struggling with Alzheimer's, and Kira, her caregiver, assigned through this government program called Project Ukurpa. And it really explores the social and psychological implications of a world where work is no longer, central to life.
It's a fascinating exploration of what happens when our traditional notions of work and purpose are disrupted.
Yeah.
If our basic needs are met and we no longer need to work to survive, what do we do with our time? What gives our lives meaning?
Yeah, that's a question that resonates even in our world today.
Right.
As technology continues to reshape the nature of work, a lot of people fear that AI and automation will lead to widespread unemployment and social unrest.
Right.
But this story suggests that it could also be this opportunity to, redefine our relationship with work and explore new avenues for fulfillment.
Exactly. It's not just about fearing job loss, but it's about reimagining the possibilities. What if we could use this technology to create a society where everyone has the opportunity to pursue their passions, contribute to their communities, and find meaning in activities that, go beyond traditional work?
It's a hopeful vision of a future where technology empowers us to live more fulfilling lives rather than just simply replacing us.
And it's a vision worth striving for. It requires us to think creatively about how we can leverage these advancements to create a more equitable and fulfilling society.
We've explored so many potential impacts of AI,
We have.
from the personal to the societal, and it's clear that this technology has the power to reshape our world in profound ways. But what can we do to ensure that those changes are for the better?
That's the question we need to be asking ourselves. The future of AI is not predetermined. It's a story that's still being written, and we all have a role to play in shaping it.
Yeah, it's not about blindly trusting or fearing AI.
Right.
It's about engaging in the conversations, asking the tough questions, and advocating for responsible development and deployment of these powerful technologies.
The book offers, many insights and recommendations, but the key message is that we need to be proactive. We need to understand the capabilities and limitations of AI, consider the ethical implications, and ensure that these technologies are aligned with our values.
It's about recognizing that AI isn't some distant force. You know, it's a collection of technologies that are already shaping our world, like today.
Yes.
And the choices that we're making today are going to determine the future that we create.
Exactly. It's about empowering ourselves to be informed citizens, engaged in the discussions that will shape the future of AI.
We'll be back in just a moment to wrap up our deep dive into AI 2041 and explore what it all means for you, the listener. And we are back for the final part of our deep dive into AI 2041. As we're wrapping up our exploration of this book, it's clear that it's not just about like predicting the future. It's about like having this conversation, challenging assumptions and just prompting us to think critically about the choices that we're making today.
Yeah, it's like the authors gave us this toolbox, filled with all these possible futures, and it's up to us to decide which tools we use and how we use them to, like, build the world that we want to live in.
Yeah, I love that analogy. Like, we're not just passive passengers on this journey into the future. We've got agency, we've got choices, and we have this responsibility to shape the trajectory of AI in a way that, like, benefits all of humanity.
And one of the key themes that I think really resonated with me throughout this whole book is this idea of heart-centered AI. It's not enough to just create AI systems that are just like technically brilliant. We need to make sure that they're aligned with our values, our ethics, and our compassion.
Yeah, it's about, like, infusing AI with human qualities,
Right.
like empathy and understanding. It's about remembering that AI should serve humanity, not the other way around.
Precisely. We need to move beyond just focusing on like efficiency and optimization. We need to start thinking about how we can use AI to create a more just, equitable, and fulfilling world for everyone.
AI 2041 really doesn't shy away from those big questions either. Like, it challenges us to confront the ethical dilemmas of AI head on. What does it mean to be human in an age of intelligent machines? How do we ensure that everyone benefits from these advancements and not just a select few? Like, these are questions that we all need to be grappling with, not just scientists and engineers. The future of AI isn't being decided in some far-off laboratory. It's being shaped by the choices that we're making every single day as individuals, as consumers, as citizens.
So what can we do? What role can we play in shaping the future of AI?
Well, I think the first step is awareness. Just like stay informed about the latest developments in AI, the potential benefits, the risks, the ethical considerations. Read books like AI 2041, engage in conversations, ask questions, challenge assumptions.
Yeah, and be mindful of how we interact with AI in our own lives, too.
Yeah.
Are we surrendering our autonomy to algorithms without even realizing it? Are we using these technologies in ways that align with our values?
Yeah, and we need to be conscious consumers.
Yeah.
Demanding that the companies that are developing these technologies prioritize ethics and social responsibility. Advocate for policies that ensure that AI is used for good and that its benefits are shared widely.
It's also about fostering a sense of shared responsibility. This isn't just about individuals making ethical choices. It's about governments, corporations, research institutions, all working together to create this framework for responsible AI development and deployment.
Right? We need to be having these conversations on a global scale. Like, bring diverse perspectives to the table and make sure that the future of AI is shaped by this collective vision, not just the interests of a few powerful entities.
This deep dive has been like a really eye-opening journey into the world of AI in 2041, and it's clear that we're at a crossroads. The choices we make today will determine the kind of future that we create.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question. What role will you play in shaping the story of AI?
Because the future is not preordained. It's this canvas, waiting to be painted. And we all have a brush in our hand. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. The future is ours to create.
That's a wrap for today's deep dive, everybody. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.